Hello, and welcome to a short update episode of the Brain Cancer Podcast. I really just wanted to sit down and start talking into my mic, so here we go. I happened to look at the date, and I realized that it's been 2 years since my second craniotomy. It is May 24th already. This is the year 2023, and on May 25th, 2021, I had my second craniotomy. This one came about 5 years after the first, and I kind of wanted to just sit down and reflect on how it feels to be 2 years out from that one, and then by the end of September, I will be at 7 years from my first surgery in 2016. 2 years ago was still in the pandemic phase. I think I had mentioned this on at least one previous episode where I had to have a COVID test 3 days before my surgery. There was conveniently a testing location right by my place, but it was drive-through only. So I had to go all the way downtown to go to a testing site. I should have just been able to go to the drive-through one because I just needed to get a test done before my surgery. Unnecessarily complicated, but that's 2 years ago and we can't change what happened back then. In a way, it's really interesting because I had 2 weeks or so to prepare for this surgery as opposed to 24 to 36 hours prior to my first surgery. I'm not really sure which I actually thought was a better situation. The first time around, it just hits you all at once. I didn't have time to really process anything. I wanted to keep things really just between myself and a couple select people because if I'm not sure what's going on, I don't want other people to be reaching out and getting me even more stressed out and feeling even more overwhelmed than I already was. For the second surgery 2 years ago, I wasn't sure if I liked having that extra time to think about it. Of course, I was nervous, as you generally would be, but I also had the exact same neurosurgeon who was already familiar with my case and is one of the top neurosurgeons in the country. I really could not ask for anything better. He is an amazing neurosurgeon, one of the most friendly people I've ever met, and the same goes to my treatment team, different treatment people I've had over the years through the research teams. My neuro-oncologist and the PA, all of the nurses, everybody involved at MGH there has been the absolute best to me. I get the best care, and I'm so thankful and lucky to live in the city of Boston where we have such good medical care. Compared to surgery number 1, surgery number 2 was so much easier. I had so much swelling the first time because my tumor was so large and it was just an unbelievable mess up in my head. The second time, there were a couple suspected small tumors, but we still weren't 100% sure. So we went in with the idea that at the worst, we would have done the surgery and found that it wasn't actually a tumor recurrence. However, when they went in and they did remove them, it turns out that it was tumor recurrence. Now, we had been watching this small area change over the course of a few months and a few scans, but it wasn't growing extremely fast, but it was to a point where we kind of wanted to address it at the time rather than wait until after Christmas, which would have been 7 months away, and it wouldn't have been until 2022. I didn't exactly feel comfortable with that. Neither did my team, so we decided to go in for that surgery in May. I remember going to the hospital. I think I had to be there at like 5 o'clock or something like that in the morning, which was fine. I got the first bus to Forest Hills and then the first train out of Forest Hills and got to MGH a little bit early. got all checked in. Eventually they called me back, and I don't remember the exact order, but I remember getting changed, IV set up, and just in general talking to the nurses and the anesthesiologist before I went under. He was also really, really funny. And I do remember asking him when he told me to start counting backwards from 100. I asked, should I start at 100 or 99? And then he just laughed and told me, just choose whichever you want. And then that was pretty much the last thing I remember until I woke up. I woke up and I really didn't have much of a headache. Sure, it hurt, obviously, a little bit, but it was far from overwhelming or the pain due to the swelling from my first surgery. We tried a couple different options, but ironically, some of the best results I had were just from the Tylenol, and it was 5 or 10 milligrams of oxycodone. That was it. Then I was discharged the next morning because I felt great. My blood work looked good. I passed all of the neuro tests, and then I was able to go home. I was back here by before 10 a.m. the next day. So I had an 8 a.m. surgery, back home the next morning at 10. Pretty much just took it easy that whole day. The following day, I took off my bandage because I wanted to leave it on for one more night just to be sure. I did feel good enough that I was able to pop out to the backyard and do some very light weeding in the garden. Nothing too strenuous or anything like that, but it was more to just be outside, which is always my way of de-stressing, I guess. I just like being outside and being in the fresh air, working in the garden, doing all that kind of stuff. Then I think it was, about 2 weeks later, I had my stitches taken out. And then I think I had started on the temozolomide, which didn't really do a whole lot, which I expected anyways because of my unmethylated tumor status. My doctor did also send out my tumor samples for some additional genetic testing. During the testing, they also found the MSH6 mutation as well as the Notch1 gene fusion, which was also interesting. Following along with the 2021 WHO guidelines, genetic mutations and genetic profiling is being used in classifying tumors now. So expanded genetic testing and pathology really can help improve the odds that we can find the right treatment for the right person for their tumor. And now here I am, 2 years later. I'm on cycle 3, or just about the end of cycle 3 of lomustine. I have to be back at MGH in a couple days to get my labs done. If everything looks good, I assume that I would be starting my next cycle. My next MRI is June 30th, and then I guess we go from there. I was really happy that my MRI from May 5th looked really good. Everything is stable. Almost 6 months on, the swelling from the re-irradiation that I did is still going down. This stuff takes a while to heal. And they always say after your craniotomy and your radiation, you can't judge too much based off of that first post-radiation MRI because your brain is still healing from all of that radiation and the temozolomide that you've likely been on. It's really the scan after that where you can get a much clearer idea on how your situation is progressing. And aside from that, I'm doing pretty well. Work is busy, which is great. I've been really busy this past few weeks. Really the entire month of May, I haven't gotten nearly as much done as I wanted to. Between work and trying to get all of my stuff planted outside in the garden, get stuff weeded, I don't have enough time in the day to do everything that I really want to. And then when I'm outside for 4 or 5 hours, sometimes when I come back in, I just will fall asleep. Or I get home from work and I'll make dinner and fall asleep. I'm pretty much always going, and I try to set aside more time, and I just never have enough. It is kind of upsetting that I haven't gotten more done for Brain Tumor Awareness Month. But like I said, I've also been doing a lot of reflecting and just thinking about my own situation and how we've lost so many good people. I do know a couple people that have passed. It's never easy, especially when I know that they had such a caring family. One man, he was a firefighter with a loving family, one of the best type of support systems anybody could have. I just tried to be there for them and just be as helpful as I could, be there to listen and be supportive. We've lost other people as well. Some I know, some I don't know. But that's the scary thing about this. It's impossible to reach everybody. So it's important that we come together as a community to reach out and make sure that nobody has to go through anything like this alone. Everybody deals with this differently. Just sitting down talking here is one of my ways of dealing with it. It helps me just really reflect on how lucky and thankful I am. I always try and have a positive attitude, and I like to share that with people. I like to be outside. I like to be interacting with people, which is one of the primary things I really like about my job too. That's also another benefit of doing this show, is that I get to meet people from all over, and we're all going through the same thing. We have a family member or friend that's going through this. It is getting late here. I suppose I should get to bed because I do have work in the morning. I will be coming home to edit this and hopefully have it out by the time of the 26th or the 27th of May, which would be about when I got home from my 2-year ago craniotomy. That didn't really make any sense. But what I want to do is have it out for 2 years post second craniotomy. Hopefully, we don't have to have any more. I really don't want another one. I would if I had to, but right now, I'm good just going through my treatments, getting my MRIs, and living my life to the best that I can right now. And I know I'm not even properly hydrated right now because I can feel my voice already starting to get a little wonky. So hopefully I won't have to spend too much time editing this. But I just want to say thank you so much just for taking the time to tune in and listening to the show. Being here with me for a little bit. Creating a show that's meant for all of us. It's not for me. It's just for all of us. I will be back soon. Our next episode is going to be a brain cancer checklist. What I plan to do is cover what to expect and how to plan for after you've been diagnosed, and we'll also talk about after you've had a craniotomy and you've come home, what are the next steps? What should you do? What should your partner know to do? We do have brochures on the abta.org website for newly diagnosed patients. And I think what I want to do is just talk about some of that and add in some of my own personal experience and things that I wish that I had known and I think would be helpful. That is in the pipeline. But I'm off to bed in a little bit. If you need to reach out to me for any reason at all, it is braincancerpodcast@gmail.com. Make sure to follow the page on Facebook at facebook.com/braincancerpodcast. Follow on Twitter at braincancerpod. Be sure to like, review, give a rating to the show on whatever app or service you listen to the podcast on, whether it's Apple or Podbean, Spotify, whatever it might be. You can always leave a rating, leave a like, and share it if you want. That'd be cool too. I think that's it. But if you ever need me for anything else, let me know. We can arrange a call via Zoom, Discord, WhatsApp, whatever is easiest for you. I have Signal, and I think there's probably something else. Maybe like, Teams. I think that's a thing. But either way, never hesitate to reach out. But we will be back soon again with another episode. 2 years on from craniotomy number 2. By September, we'll be at 7 years from craniotomy number 1. Thank you all so much. You've added so much to my life, and I cannot thank you enough. But we will be back soon with another episode. I hope you have a great day or night, and I will talk to you again soon. Bye.